I'd like to start off by acknowledging that we are on the traditional lands of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, the Songhees and Esquimalt nations, and it is with great gratitude that we learn and work here where the past, present, and future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, faculty, and staff come together. Tonight is our very first Parents' Night webinar, where we'll guide you through our bold new undergraduate experience. We're here to share information and tips on how you can support your learner with their journey as a Royal Roads student. My name is Vivian Trin. I'm one of the education specialists here at Royal Roads University, and I'm joined by a great group of colleagues: Dr. Mickey Noble, Program Head of Applied Environmental Sciences; Natasha DeLay, Associate Director, Experiential Learning; Dr. Kyla McLeod, Director of Student Services; and Shelby Blackjack, Manager of Indigenous Student Support. So we have a lot of people who've showed up for this webinar, and I think it's a really great example of how supportive the Royal Roads staff and faculty are, and we're really here to help, and we want to be present and easy to access throughout the entire Royal Roads journey. A brief overview about Royal Roads University. We've been around since 1995, so this marks our 30th year. We have our Colwood campus, which is a National Historic Site and is a very famous tourist destination in the region. It's such an incredible campus with ocean views, mountain views, old growth forest, and the historic Hatley Castle. And I hope one day you'll get to experience this campus if you haven't already. And we have a second campus opening up in June 2025, just a few kilometers down the road, which I'll speak more about later. Royal Roads is a leading public university, and we're guided by one bold vision: to inspire people with the courage to transform the world. And we do this in everything, in all of our learning, teaching, and research. We have over 70 programs delivered in the undergraduate and graduate space. A fun fact that I like to share about Royal Roads University is that in 1995, when we started, we were delivering programs online. So we've been innovative since day one. And now we've expanded to on-campus and blended programs as well, which is a mix of primarily online learning with some on-campus residencies. Our class sizes are small. On average, you'll see about 35 students a class, and it really doesn't get much larger than 35, 40. And this goes with our undergraduate programs as well, especially in year one. Typical larger traditional universities, for year one courses, you'll be sitting in large auditorium-style lecture classes, sitting amongst 300 to 500 different students, listening to a lecture, and you are identified as a number. Whereas here at Royal Roads University, we've designed our classes to be small intentionally in order to really build strong connections, community, collaboration with your classmate, and strong relationships with your faculty, with your professor. We have an excellent network of alumni from all around the world, undergraduate and graduate, and we are a designated Ashoka Changemaker campus. And what that means is that we're part of a group of colleges and universities worldwide who've been recognized for their work in social innovation and change making, including our innovative work toward a zero carbon world. So this is what the Royal Roads undergraduate journey looks like. Prior to this year, we were delivering bachelor's degree completion programs. So we were delivering years 3 and 4 of a 4-year undergraduate degree. And that was designed so that students with diplomas from a college or 60 credits from anywhere could seamlessly enter into Royal Roads University and gain a bachelor's degree. But this year, we're very excited to introduce our new undergraduate programs where students can start with us from year 1 and finish with us all the way to year 4. So how it works is in year 1, students will enroll in one of our certificate programs. We have 3: business and sustainability, applied environmental sciences, or social sciences. From there, students will progress into year 2 into a diploma program in the same 3 areas, and there's opportunity to change your area study focus if that's something you'd like to choose. And then for years 3 and 4, students will decide on one of our bachelor's degree completion programs in business, environmental practice or environmental science, hospitality and tourism, justice studies, communications, or interdisciplinary studies. What's unique is that at any of these stages, students can exit with a credential. So we recognize that life happens and the 4-year journey cannot be always an uninterrupted journey. So perhaps after 1 year of study, your learner realizes they need to take a break or they want to go work full-time. They can walk away with a university credential. They'll have a certificate to show for all the work that they've put in. And same with year 2, after 2 years of study, they can walk away with a diploma. And when they're ready to return and complete a bachelor's degree, we're here and ready to welcome the student back. So this is an image of our new Langford campus, and this is where the majority of the years 1 and years 2 courses will be delivered. This is a collaborative campus. So what that means is, while it's a Royal Roads operated building, University of Victoria, Camosun College, the Justice Institute of BC, and the school district will also be delivering some courses and programming at this campus. So students will be studying alongside a very diverse and vibrant group of learners. For those of you who are located in the West Shore, it's a great opportunity for your learner to stay close to home, still live at home while starting their undergraduate degree. For those of you experiencing the West Shore for the first time, this is one of Canada's fastest growing regions, so it's a very exciting place to connect and really build some community here. Students will also have access to our Colwood campus. Some students will continue to take classes here, but there's also events and some services. We have the rec center at the Colwood campus too that students will have access to. In years 3 and 4, when students choose their bachelor's degree completion program, depending on the program they choose, there are different delivery options. So some programs will have the option for students to study full-time in person, and this will take place at the Colwood campus. Others will offer the option to study completely online, and this offers the ultimate flexibility, and perhaps this is the opportunity to move across the country or move to a new country or travel or work full-time while studying full-time. And some programs offer a blended option where they have the flexibility of studying mainly online, and then once or twice throughout their program, they'll come onto campus for a in-person residency and further connect with classmates and professors. So that was my brief overview of the Royal Roads undergraduate experience, but tonight's conversation is really focused on how parents and supporters can help their learner toward a successful undergraduate experience. At Royal Roads, student success is not just defined by GPA. There's academic achievement through critical thinking skills. There's professional growth and personal transformation that comes with the whole experience. And so we're here to introduce some of the key factors that contribute to this successful student experience. And I hope that this information will help you guide your learner in making the most of their Royal Roads journey. So I'm going to now pass it over to Dr. Mickey Noble to speak more about our student-centered approach.
Thanks very much, Vivian. So as Vivian mentioned, my name is Dr. Mickey Noble. I am the program head for the environmental science program. And some of the things that you might really want to know about our approach is, as was highlighted earlier, we're about small class size. And this is important for students to build community, build relationships both between themselves to enhance their learning, but also with their faculty members. So your faculty are so happy when you come and visit in office hours and come and ask questions and really engage with your learning. because honestly, if nobody comes to visit during office hours, I have to get administration done, and my admin team is not prepared for the consequences of that. So we really do encourage students to come and talk to us. It's a great opportunity for students to talk about next steps, classwork, start to engage in the field of study, let their faculty members act as mentors in a way that you can't really do when there's 400 other people in the room. So that small class high touch is a really important facet of what we're doing. Those social interactions that they're going to build up are also important because they're going to be learning a lot about teamwork. And we've got a really great team coaching staff that Natasha's probably going to talk about in a little bit, who are really all about teaching our students how to come from being a group to how to come to being a team. And, as often as people talk about teamwork, that's a real life skill because even in science, the joke is always, you're in the lab and you don't talk to anybody. Well, that's not really true anymore. More and more science and every other career is in multidisciplinary teams, and you have to be able to talk to specialists and non-specialists and, meet some common ground so that you can collaborate and do things together. We will have lots of opportunities for them to do really practical real world projects. My colleagues will talk about challenge-based learning. I will talk about problem-based learning and laboratories and field experience where they're actually going to get to touch things and do things and work with up-to-date equipment. And that's really important because at a time when first and second year labs are very often one of the things that goes in the budget cuts, we've very consciously designed experiences that will bring them into contact with those things. And in fact, for the environmental science program, one of the things we are really excited about is the capstone for year 1, 2, and 3 is a 2-week lab and field school where they'll be working both to solidify the skills they've been learning all the way along, but hopefully also with some sponsors external to Royal Roads, both to help those individual organizations really dial into the learning that the students are doing, but also give those students a chance to network in a way that will facilitate their success outside the classroom and really help them build on skills where they're going to be needed. There will be lots of opportunities in all of these programs for students to choose projects or choose approaches because it best suits their interests. But we're also going to design challenges that are designed to make them stretch because you got to stretch to be able to grow. And it should really help them have that little bit extra. They'll have experiences with collaboration, with teamwork, with communication that you might not get in other situations. And especially if you were, doing first year chemistry in a class of 400, it's just not going to be the same experience. So we're really excited to be able to offer that much higher touch learning to our students in a way that's really going to help them grow both as people, but also as students. And I think having said all that, it is time to pass it to Natasha, who's going to tell you all about the interesting things that she talks about.
But you're doing such a good job there.
Yeah, but it's your turn.
All right. If we could go to the next slide. Oh, you've already gone. Thank you. Natasha DeLay, and I have, I work at Royal Roads within the Career Learning and Development team and the team coaches. Within Career Learning and Development, we have 2 pillars within there, and one are the career advisors, who really are the front-facing people for the students. They're embedded into the student experience, help students to understand what the learning outcomes of their programs are, how those learning outcomes and the vocabulary they learn in the classroom is also articulated out into the workplace. So we'll look at different job descriptions and what is happening within the labor market and compare that to what they're experiencing in the classroom so that when they're applying to jobs, when they're in interviews, they're able to say what they learned in the classroom and how that is relevant in the workplace. The next pillar within the career learning development team is the employer services. And our employer services unit, they are the external facing to the broader community to develop awareness of our students, of our emerging professionals, such as students coming out of our year 3-4 in the undergrad. They work out into they're involved at the Chamber of Commerce. And what they do is they develop these communities to, one, develop opportunities for career opportunities, to support the in-class learning and connections. And we have a job board that students are registered into, that students are able to take a look at the opportunities, but also within that, it's called Career Roads. Within this job board, an even more important piece is all the different opportunities for students to engage in the business world. If it's around career fairs or networking events, ways to become involved themselves. The other part of employer services that's so important is they bring all of those connections and employers to the campuses, and they help support mock interviews. They bring employers into job fairs, to employer panels, to be able to speak with students, so that when our students are beginning to look at their career and their career pathways and what their passions are, they're able to hear from employers what employers are looking for explicitly when they are in that hiring process. And for me, I really believe that is such a motivator for any of us at any time to hear from somebody who's in this job that you're like, wow, that's a cool job. And this is what they need from me. This is the skill set I'm looking for. So that's really the employer services side. So, and then the third pillar within experiential learning is the team coaches, which Mickey was just speaking so well about. So we have a team of coaches that are embedded into the student experiences. So one thing that makes Royal Roads special, or as our friend here at Royal Roads, who is our associate VP, would say, it's our special sauce, and that's the teamwork, where we introduce students to being involved, not just in working in a group, as Mickey said, but actually what their role and responsibility and contribution is to the team. That's so important in academic teamwork, where you're relying on each other for grades. So you have to learn how to collaborate and understand and communicate effectively. And then where the team coaches and the career advisors come into play here is the career advisors help them say, and how did that team work? How did that come together so that you can actually apply for this job? And the job's requirements are saying things like must be able to communicate effectively, must be good in team in conflict, great customer service skills, all of those around teamwork. So within that tripod of career advisors, team coaches, and employer services, we really work hard to support the students in understanding and exploring different career pathways, but finding a passion, something that they really are looking forward to doing and feeling motivated towards doing it. So I'll put that in from my side, and I think now I get to tag team with my friend Kyla.
I think it's
I
Shelby.
totally lied. I'm going to tag team with my other friend, Shelby.
I was going to say I jumped ahead of the line here. Good evening and welcome. My name is Shelby Blackjack. I am Northern Shoshone from Little Salmon Carmacks First Nation, just 2 hours north of Whitehorse, Yukon. And I am a visitor to this beautiful campus and have been here with my family since March of last year, so almost a full year now. And I absolutely love it. And you'll see the picture on the slide is the Heron People's Blue Heron House, which is Snuckwa Ailin. And it is where we host student events for Indigenous students, where I have an office so students can come and meet. We also have a kind of a lounge area with a Indigenous academic authors library that we maintain in partnership with the library at RRU. It's just sometimes easier to find everything when it's in one spot and you can work as a team. As well, we do a lot of different supports, including online and in person, depending on student needs. So we have sometimes when students are on campus for residency, or sometimes when students are know that they're education support workers in town and looking at universities, they'll send them my way as well. I've given a couple of tours as well as answered some questions and liaised with different First Nations. So basically, I work to support students, and it's great. Cultural support, we work with the Heron People Circle and have some strong connections there as well. We link in with community activities. We do a monthly newsletter that links in with different activities around the island and the mainland. And then for personal support, I link in closely with Kyla's team and with everybody for counseling as well as writing support. We link with SAGE, which is a supporting Aboriginal graduates. And we link in with writing support as well as writing workshops and tutorials there, which also links with our library and our experts as well. And that leads to academic support. And then financial support, I work closely. Kind of like Mickey said, one of the great things is that our teams are small here. And because of that, we know each other on a first name basis. So we link closely together. When a student comes to me with a question, I'm able to reach out and get back to them right away. And that's pretty important. So I'm able to link in with our student accounts, our awards and bursaries. And every time I send Michael, our financial awards and bursaries genius, a question, he gets back right away. And he loves it when I send him interesting questions from students looking for support in different ways. And that's one of the things that I think makes us a bit different. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. And yeah, I will pass it over to Kyla.
Thank you, Shelby. My name is Kyla McLeod. I'm the Director of Student Services at Royal Roads, and I've been with Royal Roads for almost 20 years, which feels a little bit crazy. I'm really pleased to share a little bit more information about a variety of our services. And I think you've heard a bit of a theme that we really have, by intention and design, created supported communities at Royal Roads. And that's in the classroom and extends beyond the classroom. And so I think no matter what, although we're venturing into a new experience with year 1 and year 2, we come with a history of really creating supported transitions for people at all stages of their life. And it's really exciting to think about doing this with first year and second year students. And personally, before my 20 years at Royal Roads, that's where I came from. And I'd worked for a good 10 years in residence life at traditional institutions where lots of first year and second year students were joining us. So I think there are many of us that are really excited about this venture. I will start with the learning supports. We do have quite a suite of supports and services that are designed to support the wraparound, to make sure that students aren't falling through cracks and as Mickey had mentioned, we are able to do this by design through the cohort model, through the relationships we develop, like Shelby was mentioning, our small high touch. We're also very intentional about some of the programming we do. So we're going to mention when we talk about parent tips that we do a lot of outreach and programming. We do workshops. We get inside the classroom. We do them around classroom timetables. We do them at lunch hours. We do them online. We do them in person, just to make sure that our students are aware of the resources that exist to support them. So you'll see that through the Writing Center. You'll see that through library services. Within our counseling services, we have an embedded learning strategist who ties in some of those other pieces around learning strategy and stress management, time management, personal health and well-being, so that we see our students again as whole people that are bringing them their whole selves into their experiences. I want to make sure I talk to parents that are familiar with accommodations their students may have received if they had an IEP in a classroom setting, that our Office of Accessibility or Accessibility Services can continue with the accommodations plan or work with students around the accommodations plans that they might be bringing from high school and translate that to what that would look like in one of our post-secondary settings. So we offer certificates of accommodation, we work around assistive technologies, we provide access to grants. If you have a designated disability, you are eligible for both technological grants as well as personal tuition and other funding opportunities. So like Shelby was mentioning, I think it's critical that you as parents are aware that these exist, because sometimes students come and they hear and they're hit by the fire hose of information and they don't necessarily remember all those things, but I'll get to the advice page, but advice for parents is to know that these services exist and to help your students remember that they exist and to ask the questions of them of, hey, have you been accessing these resources? Did you know that there's help and support available to you? That does include financial aid and awards. So within the financial aid and awards suite of services, we have internal awards for students once they've already started, but we also have entrance awards available, and we have support for student loans if students are interested in seeking other, whether it's part-time or full-time loan funding, or they want to have information about other funding opportunities like accessing a bank loan or other ways in which they might be able to get some support, financial support. There's also a brilliant financial aid and awards blog on that page that has tips and strategies for budgeting, financial planning, for writing really great awards essays. We try to make that process as simple as possible as well for students so that they're not spending so much time working on a financial aid and awards application that they're not doing their homework, right? So we really try to be student-centered in that. We do run our internal awards cycle quarterly. So students who are needing an extra bit of financial assistance or support can get that when they need it. We also have access to the tuition waiver program for former youth in care or youth in care. So if youth who have been in foster care are eligible for another set of, or access of funds. And again, so Michael is the gentleman that Shelby referenced, is our financial aid and awards specialist. And if you just simply email RRU Financial Aid and Awards, that our advisors there, Michael leads that team, can meet with you about all of those options. And again, the information I want to share that's of most important is just that we are here and we exist. And if you remember nothing else, you just remember, hey, there's somebody I can probably ask a question about that funding, that loan, that award. They told me about former youth in care. There's great resources available. We also are really excited to talk about some new awards we're launching this year. So we have we have entrance awards that are persistent with all of our programs, and that these students coming into our first year programs will be eligible for in terms of for applying. That's the Royal Roads Entrance and Award or bursary. But we also, for the first time this year, are launching the first class entrance award. And that first class entrance award ties specifically to these undergraduate certificates. And it's $1,000 per student for Canadian citizens or permanent residents that are registering this fall. And so we're super excited about that initiative, really understanding that of all the barriers, finances can be one of the most significant barriers to education. And so we're doing our best to try to reduce that. There's also a Langford Education Award, and we're also super excited about that because that demonstrates our commitment and our partnership to our local neighbors and colleagues and friends who are in this project with us together. That Langford Education Award is one that's open to Royal Road students. It's also open to UVic and Camosun students because we're in this partnership together. And I just think that, again, demonstrates the beauty of the relationships that we're developing in this new venture, this new joint venture. And so again, any questions about any of these entrance awards are easily addressed by our financial aid and awards team. And also, if you talk to anybody else at the university, like there was somebody I was supposed to talk to about awards, they will route you through because we all know each other. Like Nikki mentioned, we know each other really, really well. The last piece I want to talk to before I get into parent advice is just that idea around community engagement and belonging. And so beyond the experience that you're going to have in the classroom, right? Your experience extends outward into co-curricular, into leadership, into some of those things that Natasha was talking about that are going to build you up towards your career path or other life experiences that you're seeking. So we really do try to make sure we support a rounded student experience. Students are able to participate in social and cultural events. They can join or start a club. In terms of the Campus Ambassador Program, we offer volunteer leadership opportunities for students, and through those leadership opportunities, they meet a ton of people. They develop a ton of skills. They are running programs themselves. They're bringing ideas and initiatives forward. They're a part of creating the community that they want to be part of. So there's a lot of leadership that comes through that. We also have a student association. It's called the RRUSA. We call it RRUSA. And through that, there's a whole another leadership council, clubs and orgs that students can get connected to or plugged in. And they also have funds and resources available for students to either develop a new initiative or opportunity, or apply for an additional award, scholarship or award. Or so there's different opportunities for leadership that extend beyond just what Rural Roads has to offer, because we work in partnership with the RRUSA. And then through the RRUSA too, they also have services that they run as a student association. So extended health, I'm going to pause for that and just let everyone know. So there is an extended health program available through the student association. It's not the university, but the student association runs it, that would be made available to all incoming students. However, if your student already has comparable coverage, then they can opt out. It's not mandatory that they're part of that program, so they can opt out of that program. It's just lovely to know that it's there and it's available for students that want to access it. And they also, the RRUSA or RUSA, covers the UPass program. So all of our incoming students would automatically get a bus pass through their membership in that student association. Okay, I have a couple slides I just want to touch on advice for parents, because we know that talking to parents is a little bit different than the recruiters when they're talking to students, prospects, or people that we know are of the generation that are coming into the program. We can all feel a different level of excitement, and maybe concern, and maybe somewhat a little bit of anxiety around this pretty significant transition that our students are moving toward. And so I just wanted to start and acknowledge that this is going to be change, right? And change is stressful. It's stressful for all the people involved. There's excitement, but there's also it can raise sometimes those levels of stress that comes with that. So first step of advice would be allow for some unexpected shifts in emotion. And those are going to fluctuate, right? Because they're going to be really excited and maybe terrified all at the same time. We had a colleague who used to call it, what did she call it? Nervous-sighted, because you can get all those feelings at once. And then maybe you're having a really great day. And then maybe everything drops out in front of you and you feel like the rug has just been torn. And that's all normal of a first-year experience. And so we are just asking parents, guardians, loved ones to expect the unexpected a little bit and be aware that there's going to be some shifts in their experience and their emotion. And with that, we would just encourage then that relationship with their faculty, with their staff, participation in events, in resource and accessing the resources that are available to them, making connections with their teammates or with their classmates, because all of those touch points will really contribute to supporting their success. We also want to just encourage them to do some of those tactical things like develop a schedule, right? Really make sure that they're putting some of that structure in, because this is a huge change. When the structure was imposed on them in the K through 12 sector coming out of a secondary school or high school, they're now venturing into a world where, yeah, there's going to be some scheduling given to them, but there's a lot less emphasis on the institution providing that accountability. Like, we're going to expect that students are accountable and therefore develop some of those strategies and tools that they would need to maintain their own schedules and sense of commitment and responsibility. We also want to encourage that your teams or your students are being supported to take breaks, to find balance, to consider themselves as whole beings. I'd mentioned earlier, we try to see our students as whole beings. So we also want them to see themselves as that and to encourage them to take opportunities, to take breaks, to join clubs, to connect with faculty, mentors, advisors, find out more about the research that their faculty are doing and what career paths they've taken or networks that they have. Talk to those career learning and development advisors about future opportunities, right? Talk to the people that they're connected with about what their thoughts and processes are, because it's more than just a class, right? There's a whole bunch of learning that happens outside that class. I think Nikki already commented on this, but another piece I'd just like to remind students and parents, faculty really, really like it when students are engaged, when students ask questions, when they come, as Nikki said, and visit during office hours so that Nikki doesn't have to do her administrative work instead. So if one other big piece of advice, remind them and ask them about the conversations they've had with their instructors, right? That's a great entree into, like, what are you learning and what have you talked about? And so what kind of questions do you ask when you're in class? And have you talked to your instructor outside of the class time? Oh, and if not, well, when are their office hours? Why don't you go? Those kind of questions, right? Just helping make it safe, helping make that normal, right? That it's not, it's going to feel scary and intimidating. So how do we decrease that sense? And so much of that comes from relationship and just reminding our students that the instructors are there because they really want to be there. And then the other piece I would say, to the best of your ability, is to familiarize yourself with the academic routines and schedules of the institution. So when are some of those key dates? When do you know that midterms are happening? When do you know that finals are happening? When is tuition due? When are some of the more tense or troublesome dates or that you can be aware of? Not that we expect you to be managing them, but then just so that you can help your student be aware of them too as they're transitioning into some of this independence, newfound independence. And if nothing else, I'd say get on our website, surf around, check it out. There's a lot of information on there. Go to the events page, find out what's coming up, and just ask your students, hey, have you participated in this? Do you think it might be interesting? There's even some that are available to anybody. So come on in yourself. There'll be some sessions you might find that you really want to enjoy, and then you can share that experience with your student. So really, I think that was it. And I'm going to hand it back to Vivian. And I think we probably have some time maybe for questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Kyla, and everyone. That was so great. Even I learned so much, and the tips and advice, I think, just apply to everyday life too. So giving ourselves planning and scheduling and giving ourselves time to make connections outside of our work or our studies is really great advice. It was a lot of information, but the good news is we have more upcoming events to dive deeper into some of the areas you want to find out more about. So on March 1st, we are hosting an open house at the Colwood campus. In the ideal world, it would be at the Langford campus, but that one's not ready for us just yet. The open house is on a Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And this is a really great opportunity to meet all of us in person. I believe almost everyone who's here will be available and many more. You'll hear from our alumni. You'll be able to experience a little taster of what it's like to learn at Royal Roads. And we do have another parent session being delivered there as well. And a free lunch is also nice, and just coming to visit our campus. We're also giving away 2 starter packs. So participants will enter for a draw, and the starter packs include a MacBook Air, some really great RRU swag as well. So please join us if you're available and can make it to our campus. Following that, we will be doing back-to-back sessions that are program-specific webinars. So on March 11th, we're going to take a deeper dive into the social sciences program. On March 12th, we'll focus on the business and sustainability program. And on March 13th, we'll be focusing on Mickey's program, Applied Environmental Sciences. And then on April 2nd, we're delivering another webinar, which is a general overview of the undergraduate experience at Royal Roads University. So there's a QR code to take you to a landing page for all of our events. It's also at royalroads.ca/undergraduate-events. If someone can pop that in the chat. And that is it for now. I welcome any questions, or if anyone else has anything they want to add to tonight's presentation.